All right, everyone, now we check to see whether we're live or not. Of course, the neighbor taking out the trash at the same time. Give me a moment because there is a delay, 10 seconds or thereabouts, so I've got to check. Yes, indeed. Okay. I always pause it on the other side, but I read the chat actually on the YouTube link while I'm in StreamYard on the other side. Let me shorten this down as well. Alrighty. So yeah, this is a brief sort of news wrap-up. Now, normally what I try to do is a news wrap-up on Saturday, and then the Q&A is like now on Sunday. I've got to compress them together this week, though. I just didn't feel up to it the other day, even though there was technically news to wrap up. Mostly about Lori Lightfoot or Joe Biden, but that's pretty normal. By the way, Eastern time, it is 7:30 in the morning, so instead of watching mindless cartoons, which are all woke anyway, you can always watch this instead. So I figure it gives people a little bit of entertainment. But yes, super chats are open for Q&A. You can also send me crypto, links in the description. That's always nice. I bought a shit ton of Cardano, actually, during this dip. This may be, at the moment, because it's struggling its way back up, it may be a bull trap. I don't really care, though, because I believe, and this is not fiscal advice, by the way, not investing advice. I believe it'll go back up anyway, so I'm still investing. If it falls much further, I do another buy up. Oh yeah, 8:30. Yeah, my for some reason my computer never actually keeps pace. It's always an hour off. For some reason, it doesn't do daylight savings, or it tries to but fails. Over 300 people watching. You know, single minute into this broadcast, or 2 minutes. So we're going to do a little bit of general news banter. Mainly, this is the Q&A show because it's Sunday. On Saturdays, mainly I ignore the question and answer sort of side of things and try to focus on actual news wrap-up, but I didn't do one. The Brian Madigan, hey Styx from Australia, hello, hello. It's funny because it shows red actually if I look over at StreamYard, but it shows blue on YouTube. They've got a different color scheme involved. By the way, there is a dishwasher load actually currently happening. That's not actually a meat grinder that I'm going to stick my balls in later. Only one Odyssey exclusive today. Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you for reminding me, King Kickass. I actually did not put the second one up because I did the first one, but then it took longer, so I went to the store because it's taco night actually. And I make real tacos, by the way, not pussy-ass tacos like most gringos will. That actually reminds me, yeah, I need to go to Odyssey. Thank you very much. I'll keep the tab open, but I'll do it afterwards. That way I won't forget. I don't want to take up any extra bandwidth. It's funny because even here in Amsterdam, sometimes bandwidth-wise, there are so many people in chat that it's difficult to keep up, and that's with slow mode, 300 second. The Arcadian 300 donating $5 Canadian. No comment. Thank you. Yeah, literally, I make some of the best tacos I've had. I also know how to make enchiladas and quesadillas because I learned from actual Mexican people as opposed to. Can you imagine Paula Deen's enchiladas? Okay, now we're going to add 5 pounds of butter. Silver Kestrel, with the GOP gaining a trifecta and with the Free State movement, do you think New Hampshire is in play for 24? Yes, New Hampshire is definitely still a swing state, getting arguably more so. Even Maine and Vermont. Vermont went less blue this last time around too for 2 cycles in a row. It's moving in the other direction. By the way, if you look at gun laws, if you look at open carry states and stuff, Northern New England really was, the original gangsters of pro-gun sentiment. I think that the rural nature of Northern New England will eventually rip them out of the Democrats' hands. And that's going to be a big problem for them. It's going to be real difficult to get 270 otherwise. McNuck69, buy Algorand. It's getting adopted by major governments and about to release its governance program in September or October. It's under $1 and gives 8% APY. I don't really care about the APY. But yeah, I'll look into that. I use Exodus as the wallet, and I use Coinbase as the purchaser, generally, as the exchange. If it's on there, I'll check into it. I'll consider investing. It depends on the price. You see, I'm convinced that the price is nowhere near peak. But that's just my own anecdote. I'm not giving you any advice. Don't take my advice for anything fiscal. There were people in 2016, they bet money on my predictions for the presidency, and I had to tell them, disclaimer, please don't do that. Standing while pooping. 100 years after Tulsa riots, and blacks are, yeah, I don't think that I'm allowed to read that one. Yeah, you can read it if you're in chat. It's basically about racial demographics and hypocrisy. I'm sorry, dude. You can probably request to get the money back because I'm not allowed to read that. On any other site, well, look, once BitChute gets live streaming, guess who's going to be #1? Jack Rosamac, $10. No comment. Thank you. Carl, oh, jump down. Carl Tuckerson, good day, sir. Good day to you, too. Mr. Sandvich. Hi, Styx. With the new state laws against big tech being created, do you think this will be the way forward to curb their power rather than 230? Thanks. I still believe that 230 should simply have a rider attached. It's so simple. It's so simple that Congress will never do it. See, that's the problem, right? All you have to do is modify Section 230 to make those protections requisite on them not editorializing. So it'd take 2 sentences, maybe 3. It would take them, I could write it up in legalese, given, you know, a lunch break, which is why Congress won't do it, because they're not there to solve your problems. They're there to create problems and then profiteer off them. Nick Ray, been trying to understand for a while, based on what you said in previous videos, are you a fan of Ron DeSantis and Rand Paul or not really? I'm a big fan of Rand Paul, and I'm a casual fan of Ron DeSantis. If Trump does not run in 2024, and DeSantis or Rand Paul do, they automatically get my primary support. Now, that doesn't mean that the initial, that they win the primaries. If the Republicans are dumb enough to go back to the Bush years and they want Jeb 2024, I'm not going to vote for them. I'll campaign against them. I'll campaign for the Democrats at that point because I'm not a partisan. I don't believe in weakling conservatism, so-called. Little Philly. Your thoughts on Fulton County Elections Board hiring criminal defense attorneys to fight mail-in ballot subpoena? I hadn't heard of that, but I probably should have. You have to hire an attorney anytime that there's a blame or an allegation that something's wrong, regardless of whether there is. Like, people say, well, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear, why do you need a lawyer? You're goddamn crazy because of the way the so-called justice system works. If you don't lawyer up, even for a minor civil case, lawyer up. Fucking take out a loan if you have to at that point. That doesn't necessarily mean guilt. And of course, on YouTube, we can't speculate too much about anything Hong Kong fortification related in elections. But yeah, there's probably a reason that they're fighting it. In the case of a county board, it's probably an admission of guilt. Darun Albane. Am gray-pilled. I see many things that give me hope, but the underlying rot is institutional, and unless the AZ recount finds the issues we know were there, which sparks a major vote protection law in 2022-24, will fail. Here's the thing, and I've pointed this out before. This is a good point, actually. At the state and local level is where elections happen. If you have a president, but then don't shield them with having people down ballot, so to speak, actually unfortify the election, it can be tampered with potentially. Of course, Hong Kong, that totally didn't happen in 2020, but it's possible. It's possible because the state government can look the other way. The acting attorney general, the DAs and so forth, the prosecutors, they'll look the other way if things go wrong. But if you have done what I've suggested now for months, which is go after the local housing authorities, the school boards, the city councils, the mayor's offices, the sheriff's offices, if you take those over and then use those to further pressure the state, you can unfortify an election real easy. It's from the ground up. You can't do it from the top down. This is why I always found it astonishing. People expected they would elect Trump and everything would magically get better because he would literally wave a magic wand and the darkness would be dispelled and globalism would die and everyone would be more wealthy and free and the southern border would be secure and stuff. But you didn't give him state houses. You didn't give him down ballot Republicans, not until halfway through his term. Then you get the Trump populists rising up, and they're still doing it now. You get Green and Gates and some of these other people, but there aren't enough of them. There's still not even half enough. You need to work harder. And really, you get the government that you deserve. The more work you put into it, the more effort, the better the outcome will be. But focus on localities. Do not focus on national elections. Not yet. Darun Albane again, which will lead to either a peaceful divorce or lead pew-pew. Neither. There won't be a peaceful divorce. Balkanization won't happen, nor should it. That's basically a capitulation. That's a loser mentality. As far as lead pew-pew, and maybe somewhere down the road, I think the average American still has food in their belly. When a person has food in their belly and a roof over their head, they are unlikely, generally speaking, to rise up in rank, regardless of other considerations. Huns with guns. Do Europeans in real life have a superiority complex towards Americans like they do on the internet? I haven't noticed one. But I mean, again, the Dutch are more cosmopolitan. I mean, if I went to Germany or France or something, it might be different. Because of COVID breaking out only a few months after I got here, I haven't been able to travel. I couldn't eat snails in southern France or visit Gévaudan, which is one of my bucket list goals. I couldn't go to Iceland and eat like rotted piss whale or whatever they eat. And by the way, they have this liquor there. It's made, I can't remember, crowberry liquor. It's delicious. It's expensive as fuck if you import it, though, and try it there. I haven't gotten a chance to go to Germany and get arrested because Rational Wiki thinks I'm hateful. So none of these things have happened so far. I'm hoping to go to Belgium, see the bad roads and the good chocolate. Sea Daddy Gaming. Would you ever do a BitChute plant series? Medicines, psychedelics, alchemy. I know you're into it and mentioned having an owl-headed patron. Yes, Stolas. Actually, I did a psychedelic series, but I should probably go back because I don't recall whether I properly tagged them, which means they might not be visible. And I can always redo it too with better technology and shit. I was using 30 FPS at the time, so more primitive. I was living in 2009 still. Ghost of Comments Past. Styx, the lab leak theory is a misdirection campaign to keep people off the trail of those responsible for the I can't even use that word, the pandemic plus a letter. The US CDC was sitting at the same table as China CDC during Event 201. I do believe that there was a leak from the Wuhan lab. I do not believe it was intentional, but it's still technically an act of war. I explained earlier in today's New Tech exclusive, the second one, I explained if this had been an accidental launch of a nuke, the whole world would be demanding the whole government of China step down right now. And there wouldn't need to be an investigation because you'd know where it came from. You'd have the radar and shit. But with this, for some reason, there aren't calls for Beijing's government to step down in shame and go into exile. I wonder why. Could it be Biden's culpability because he was the VP during the administration that helped to found the Wuhan lab? This isn't even a conspiracy theory. This is now open conjecture in the legacy media. If the legacy media is willing to conjecture about that, just think of how damning the real story is. It must be 10,000 times worse. It's some crazy stuff. This is like, a spy thriller sort of plot. Adonis Adams. Hey, Styx, what's your opinion on witchcraft? Well, technically, I'm a witch. I practice magic. I believe in it. In somewhat of a roundabout way. Of course, not every time that you have a cauldron or a wand is it real, but yes, I believe magic is real. In the literal sense, yes. Yes, in the Harry Potter-esque sense, minus the sparks and Avada Kedavra bullshit. Ram a Rabbit. Yo, Styx, trying to start up my own self-sufficient farm with crops and livestock. Do you have any plans to get livestock? Do you think things like meat will actually become hard to get in the future? Oh, that's a hard question. I've thought about getting like chickens, and I really like goats because they make crazy noises. And we've got a cat named Yana, and she sounds just exactly like a goat when she's trying to get attention. And I'm thinking, like, if you had a goat and she was interacting with it, it'd be hilarious, and it'd be like a viral YouTube video. So see, it's a good investment too. So yes, I'd like to have chickens. For the eggs, I mean, I'm not a vegetarian, but there is a part of me that's like, if I had animals around, I wouldn't really want to slaughter them, but I would definitely use the animal products. Goat cheese is delicious, by the way, if it's made properly. By the way, goat cheese, put it on a chili dog sometime, along with a little bit of ketchup. I know it sounds unorthodox. Some of you are probably puking by now. You'll love it if you have taste buds. Oh my God, I had that a couple times. There's this hot dog vendor in Rutland that no longer exists, sadly, and they had goat cheese and all this other shit. Nice, sweet, oniony chili. Oh, my God. I'd be obese, actually, if I kept eating those because I'd stuff 4 or 5 down my gullet. D2 Thadery 7. Google D2 Thadery. YouTube is trying to censor me and my music, and you can see that I probably mispronounced that. D2 THEDRIE 7. Oh, the Dre. Sorry about that. I was trying to read it as one word. I'm not surprised. They're trying to censor everyone. Squid Coyote, $5 with no comment. Thank you. Let's see here. Xeon Reborn. Do you think these suppressor freedom bills in the states will have legs like pot decriminalization? Yeah, I do. Gun control is going the way of the dinosaur in many ways. A lot of people who get demoralized don't realize. You realize how many guns and how much ammo and are being sold and how many gun laws being rescinded right now? Like even over the last 4 or 5 years, you went from having, I think, 4 states with constitutional carry to now more than a dozen in the course of 2 years. Well, the writing's on the wall. People have the right to carry firearms of all sorts of kinds, and they're really fun. And shooting things is fun. Targets, small game, burglars. I totally didn't mean that. Too lazy. Styx, you have a platform. Remind people around the midterms to watch polling stations with drones for illicit, totally legit late ballots this time. See, there's a problem because you have to have a license to have a drone and it could be illegal. So I can't recommend them to do that, but I can definitely say to use novel methods to watch polling stations. Better yet, become a poll worker. Better yet, make sure that your local and state government have already been subverted by that time so that you don't have to worry as much about shenanigans. Fortify it, but fortify it for the good guys. The Human Centipede. Yeah, welcome back. If you had to put these 3 into a human centipede, in which order would you put them? They are Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and Phil Scott. That's a real good question, actually. Okay, well, Bernie Sanders doesn't believe in consumerism, so he's in the back. Okay, he has to eat the recycled bullshit. And Joe Biden, I'd put him in the middle because, well, actually, no, I'd put him in the front. Here's why. People with dementia sometimes lose their sense of taste properly. They'll eat their own poop and shit and think it's chocolate. So to lessen their suffering, Biden is in front, and then he poops into Phil Scott's mouth, and then Phil Scott poops into Bernie Sanders. I think that's fair, right? Have I made the right decision? We can say in the comments. Oh, man. See, this is why I like doing live streaming with live chats. Squid Coyote. Styx is solid on this point. Voting for a president means nothing if you won't make that an honest-to-goodness movement to support them. Yes, there was the problem. The problem is you had a movement, but it didn't have any down-ballot support. You took some state house movement, a handful of people in Congress, but Trump was obstructed for the first 2 years by the Republicans on building the wall. It wasn't the Democrats that did it. The Democrats didn't stop it. We knew how they were going to vote. Gazoon type, by the way. It's Liz sneezing. Yeah, she's got the coof now, maybe. It wasn't that. It was Mitt Romney and people like that, basically. Liz Cheney, all those other morons. Get rid of them. Thomas Wegner. When are you coming home? Indeterminate. Depends on what I want. The Human Centipede. To show I'm not sexist, which of these 3 women would you put in a human centipede in which order? They are AOC, Nancy Pelosi, and Hillary Clinton. Ooh. Again, Clinton gets the front because she's old too. She's like, what, 74 or something. So she'll lose her sense of taste. That'll make the human centipede will survive longer if the person in front's actually capable of eating and transferring the nutrients. Well, technically, Pelosi would go in front. I think she's older. So Pelosi's in front. Hillary Clinton can be in the middle because she enjoys that shit, and AOC gets the back because she deserves more punishment. The Captain Z. In defense of witch burning, not a phrase commonly heard. When was the last time you've seen someone turn into a frog? Also, thoughts on green tea. I prefer black tea. Yeah, I'm diverse and multicultural. That's because it has caffeine in it. I prefer caffeinated teas. If I'm going to drink a sedative like style tea, it'll be chamomile. And especially from my own garden, it will literally knock you on your ass. If you've ever grown fresh chamomile and brewed it fresh, it's like 10 times stronger somehow. It'll make your head spin. It's almost a little bit like getting high if you drink enough of it. Disclaimer, I'm not telling you that's safe or anything. Saying that bullshit. Haven't seen anyone turn into a frog. I think Lori Lightfoot did years ago, but she's anthropomorphic, I guess, to some extent. Zim the Despot. I know you're an atheist, but would you take the monarchy of statesman Jesus the same way Ian McCullum from Forgotten Weapons is called Gun Jesus? I don't know 100% what that means, but no, I don't want Jesus as my monarch. It's just like a Jesus take the wheel. It's like, I don't think that's a good idea, especially when you turn water into wine. Drinking and driving is a big problem, dude. Jeb's Magic Turtle. I know you hate sports, but GOP leaders said they want to move the Olympics out of Beijing in 24 as punishment for Rona. Think this would be a one-time slap on the wrist or just the beginning? They're not going to do jack shit. You know, let it go on. By then, unless we get disclosure about the Wuhan lab or something ground swelling, people have forgotten about it. The whole point was through the election to talk about it every single day. You see them winding it down already. Jim Morrison. Mo is a band from your area for 30 years. Prog rock jam band. Ask your friends in Vermont. I might have heard of them before. Heard of like Leftover Crack. I think it has the Rutland sound and shit like that. Nick Ray. Thoughts on Steven Crowder? Obviously you disagree religiously, but have seen you defend him before. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I like Crowder. I really liked his Zhang Zhuger impression. He shelved that, though. He decided to go in a more serious direction. I think that's a mistake. I think that was one of the best things he did. Sort of like Sasso doing Kenny Rogers or something like that. Kenny Loggins, sorry. There's 10,000 messages. It's hard to keep up. Trippy Liquids. To me, it looks like a leprechaun to me. All you got to do is look up in a tree. Who else has seen the leprechaun say, yeah? I'd say you're definitely on a trippy liquid, my dude. Does it start with an L and end with a D? Chad Harris. How do Swedish people see former Vice President Joe Biden? I don't know. I've never been to Sweden. Yeah, apparently, this is funny. Liz apparently has a lot of people assume that she's a Swede. I assure you, her cooking is superior to this. We don't cook in the ground next to a volcanic crater. Marussia Dark. Morning, brother Tarl. Happy Memorial Day. Lawless Murphy just lifted the mask mandate here in Jersey on Friday and forced on just the honor system. Well, that's good. By the way, I believe, well, actually, no, I probably shouldn't mention that. I'll mention that when it's an official actual update. It has to do with New Jersey politics. It's someone that I know that's running for the New Jersey gubernatorial slot. But I'm going to be having him on for an extra special sort of thing. He's been on the channel before. I'll keep it under wraps for now, despite my excitement for making a political endorsement. Mr. Sandvich. Also, here's another 15 shillings. Keep up the good work with your content. Thank you very much. I can buy several sandwiches. LJRC. Trudeau's Liberals suspending federal elections in Canada due to pandemic. Yeah, Trudeau basically gets away with being a tyrant. He's basically trying to be a dictator. That's the funny part. All the Liberals that said, well, Trudeau is the anti-Trump. He's the future of anti-fascism. Jesus Christ. That little pissant hobbit. That's what he looks like, too. He looks like basically a slightly taller version of a hobbit. AR4. 100 Yugoslav rubles for you, sir. Well, thank you very much. I have no idea what that is in US dollars, by the way. As somebody with Beijing Biden, soon those will be worth more than dollars, and you'll think that you gave me a fortune. Marty McGill. Buy the cat some effing treats. Those cats get treats every single fucking morning. Yeah, they were getting fat, actually. I literally had to cut down. They were getting mushy food too often, and they were getting too many treats, and I had to cut both by half. And now their weight's sort of like stable. Because, you don't want to make them obese. It's kind of abusive at some point. McNuck 69. Thanks again for putting me on to the Crack God Sleazy P Martini. Yes, by the way, everyone, check out Sleazy P Martini on both YouTube and BitChute if you want some very interesting live commentary. The only person who can chain smoke without inhaling. He's basically like the crack smoking Bill Clinton. Anthony. Styx, you're an excellent independent journalist. For me, Anthony, and my cousin Adam. God bless you in America. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, Substack. Really a new thing that I really like, and it's sort of a deviation from what I normally do. Normally, it's completely unscripted video content. It's like 90% of what I do. That and books and stuff, but those aren't political. With Substack, I get to sit there, edit everything, make sure it's properly sourced. I think some people appreciate it, and almost 3,500 people are already following on Substack. Again, link in the description. it'll be in there. Might take a while. The description's gotten too large. I need to cut a few things out. I can only do so much. I'm one person. No matter how many spoons you clank or how many demons you have helping you, you know, you can only manage so much as one person. The Human Centipede. On to something serious for me. Next year, my parents will be buying a house and will be moving to Arizona. Probably a good choice. I have some tangible gold and want to help them buy the house. Do you think I should sell some now or wait until next year? I can't give you that fiscal advice, dude. But if you've got tangible gold, as opposed to just like me, a little bit of silver and stuff and helping your parents, you can consider it. It depends. Again, never put all of your eggs in one basket. But Arizona, I don't know where you live currently, but Arizona's relatively cheap. Like it's not living in New Jersey or something like that, or New York City. Yeah, you'd have to figure that out yourself. If you were asking me about crypto or something, I'd say I don't know that now is the time to liquidate. Unofficially, not fiscal advice, by the way. Again, I hate disclaimers. I have to do that when I talk about drugs too. It's like, oh, I'm not telling you to smoke crack. I'm not actually, I'm describing heroin's effects, but I'm not telling you to shoot up. Otherwise, you can get sued. It's sort of like that hot coffee case that started it all back in the 90s. Squid Coyote, news from the vestigial media should be classed as entertainment. Yeah, but it's not entertaining. That's the problem is it's not funny. If they were writing it like as like Crowder articles or, you know, the kind of format I do, it'd be worth looking at. Platy. No super cheesy stickers. Okay, take this. Yes, I will never have stickers on the channel or ads. By the way, YouTube now forcing ads on non-monetized content occasionally. If you ever see an ad on my video, it is not because it is funding me. It's YouTube decided to do it for some insane reason or another. They changed their TOS to be able to do that, by the way. By the way, there's 1,600 people watching live. So we're still 4 times the average Young Turks audience for their tertiary show there that we keep clanking on. Good times. The Judas Priest, top of the morning, Styx. Best Sunday show with my coffee and Santa Fe cigar. What's your opinion on the UFO report to come out soon? Keep up the awesome work. Officially, you shouldn't smoke tobacco, but I think cigars you're not supposed to inhale, so, you know, better than cigarettes, I suppose. They can taste good. Admittedly, they do smell good from a distance, by the way. I think the UFO report will be bullshit. I think that it's a distraction. UFOs exist. It's anything in the sky you can't readily identify. I believe aliens exist too, but I don't think that they interact with humans. And if they do, you're not going to get like some fucking grainy Motorola 240p picture of them. It just doesn't make any sense. It's a distraction, I think, from bigger concerns like, oh, I don't know, the fact that China released a bioweapon, the fact that there's stagflation in the United States. Yeah, I think it's meant to distract you from those. Remember, when you're doing a magic trick, the hand that is moving is not the one you're supposed to pay attention to if you want to know how the trick is produced. It's the other one that is very furtively, you know, putting the rabbit in a hat or some shit like that. Marushia Dark, pets can't do fractions. Give them half treats. Yeah, that's basically what I did. I just cut their victuals slightly. Seemed to work. They're no longer, you know, obese or anything like that. They're just a little bit chubs. It's okay for a cat to be a little chubby. I agree with Bernie Sanders on one thing only. It's okay for a cat to have a little salami. These ones are very picky eaters. I've never seen cats that won't eat any form of human food. Zim the Despot. Idaho native asking your thoughts on our governor, Brad Little. I don't know anything about your governor other than I believe mask mandate went out the window some time ago, so I guess that's a good thing. Silver Kestrel, thoughts on French soldiers, both retired and active, warning of civil war. It's possible. You do have a lot of seeming problems there. I think that once COVID restrictions die down, a lot of the social stress around the world will automatically reduce, though, because it's been such a stressor. You know, and people are, you know, cooped up inside with kids that they secretly hate, stuff like that, you know, drinking themselves to death. Once they get out in the sun, I think people will be a little bit more calm. James Ferguson, interesting that the laptop from hell is now back in play. Why would the CIA be pretending to care? Why now? Oh, you mean Hunter's laptop? Absolutely no clue. There's shenanigans, though. We know that. Trippy Liquids, my cat Chairman Meow won't shut up about Marxism. Advice? Give it more food. Or some catnip. By the way, sometimes cats eat catnip, it makes them sleepy. If they sniff the catnip, it makes them goofy. So it can be both a sedative and a stimulant, depending on how it's delivered. It works mildly on humans as well. I remember doing that years ago when I was in college. There's no college rule against having a bunch of catnip to smoke. I used to take it and put it through the pipe, and I used to carefully puff it into a mason jar and swirl it around, and it'd be filled with smoke. And then I would like pretend like I was drinking it, but I'd be inhaling. Some people thought that was entertaining at the time. Craig Bragg. Styx is the best commentator on YouTube. I'm a close second. Shameless plug. That's about all. Peace out. Well, hopefully that investment pays off. Craig Bragg, you can check out his channel there. Squid Coyote. Thanks for the years of entertainment and thought-provoking. Last question. What can change the nature of a man? Pretty much anything. And money, definitely. A woman. Or if they're gay, another man, potentially. Stress. Victory, conquest, having a position of power. All of those things can test a person. Carl Tuckerson. Meh, Arizona is California light. Highest density of white dudes in sports jerseys and flat-brimmed hats on the planet. Yeah, but it's better than California, so there's an advantage. The cat just woke up from a dream and is squeaking over here. I kind of wanted to see Arizona because I knew one person, like a couple decades ago, said that they're like meteors and geodes and all sorts of cool geological shit out there. And I was really into that as a kid, crystals and geodes and stuff. And I always wanted to see it. Let's see. Stephen13. Did you know Stalin was socially conservative, anti-abortion, pro-traditional marriage, and patriotism? They called World War II the Great Patriotic War in the USSR. Yeah, Stalin was a weird dude. But he was, I don't know that you could consider him socially conservative except in the advent of his own conservatism, which would be post-traditionalist. It wasn't exactly a hyper-religious individual going to church every Sunday. As far as abortion, that's just because commies wanted to have more manpower. They'd lost a shit ton of it in World War II. Andres Sobel. Hi, find you are one of the more intelligent on the internet. Tough question, please answer. Why are the Jewish people hated and so much in history and today? Yeah. Well, I think every group of people is actually hated at the time. Right now, it seems like straight white males are basically on the chopping block, so I don't know. Everyone always has to have an us and a them, though. You'll always find that. One thing that I think actually, back in the medieval period, this is a little bit of history. What happened in the medieval period was that Muslims and Christians couldn't do interest, and so they tended not to loan people money. Because the idea is if I loan you $100 and it takes you 10 years to pay off, the $100 you give me back is worth less than $100 at that point, at least insofar as the value of the initial investment because of inflation. And this always happens if you don't have a shrinking population GDP. But the Jews didn't have a religious prohibition on interest. And so they were able to loan people money, usually at usurious levels, actually, back then. There was no cap on interest. And so what would happen is some people, their investment would succeed. They took out money, they bought the farm, the crops were good that year, they paid the money back. Now, all of a sudden, they were gentry. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't have that happen. And so they would complain to the city authorities, well, they took my money with usurious interest. It's anti-Christian. Let's just hang them. And so sometimes it was really the result of the fact that they had lost property. This could have been avoided. Of course, Christians no longer have any problems with the concept of interest rates, at least keeping pace with basic reality. Teresa Logue Meeks. Our Molly doesn't eat human food either, and she looks a lot like the kitty that visits you during your videos. She has a loud motor too, maybe part Persian. I think the only thing ever that they ate of human food for me, and this is in the last 2 years, I think was some lamb some time ago. That was basically it. I think it was lamb. Can't even remember. It just doesn't happen very often. Mark Elliott, what happened to the Durham report? Shelved forever, probably. Evil Bunny, been watching you for a couple years. Time to give a little back. Oh, and Bunny. Oh, thank you. Yeah, QAnon, question mark. What are your opinions on Maryland? I hate Baltimore and the counties that are about to become like it. Also, love you, Styx. Well, thank you very much. I've never been there. I've never wanted to go there. Other than Blair Witch Project was actually taped in a little park not far, I believe, from Baltimore. And I'd like to see the location there. By the way, there is actually, spoiler alert, a little bit of an Easter egg if you watch the Blair Witch Project. About 2/3 through the movie, when they're freaking out on the riverside because they think that they've come full circle, you can actually see another person off in the distance. And in fact, I think 2 people there. Similarly, in Evil Dead, there's one scene right before they go across the bridge, in some versions, by the way, where there's another human being there. Now, apparently that's Raimi, specifically the younger brother of the producer. But it's funny because it makes no sense in the context of the video. Totally random, but figured I'd fill you in. Romanian TV. Hello, V. Hey, Styx, what do you make of critical theory taking the spotlight of the news all of a sudden? Also, when do you have time for us to do a stream again? Yeah, we can stream sometime. Send me a DM on Twitter if you want. Send it now, basically. I'll see it later. Yeah, critical race theory is going to fall by the wayside, I would hazard a guess. It's so over the top. It's an example of the Democrats or the left in general overextending. They think that they have the right or a mandate to push major cultural change. And really what people have told them is, no, we want a little incremental change. Boiling the frog works. Going 10,000 miles beyond never does. But they just can't help themselves. This is why I'm not scared of them, by and large. People who are scared of the left, don't worry, they'll hang themselves given enough rope. They always have. Just look at the communists over in Russia. Stephen 13. Soviet Guard will crush Antifa for desecrating the flag of the motherland. They put the hammer and sickle with a pride flag. Yeah, they would. They would kill Antifa members. That's the funny part. And Antifa would say, well, that's because they were evil tankies. These people, the left doesn't have any form of unity whatsoever. Just look at the non-in-poll cringe left, like some of the anti-SJW old wave commentators. Look at the difference between them trying to avoid in-poll or like the dirtbag leftists, like the Vaush or something, as opposed to like the more mainline left. These people hate each other. There's a schism within the GOP because Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney exist. Oh, boy, you're going to see something in the midterms. Thomas Finton. You ever notice that the TG activists act a lot like the Nazis? Both are mentally ill groups that believe nonsense about themselves and seek to use a Marxist authoritarian system to enforce their beliefs upon us. Yeah, I've noticed that. It's funny because, remember, all authoritarian systems are inherently leftist. All leftist systems are inherently authoritarian. Simple economics. If you have that centralized control, you can't have a libertarian system. Certainly not. Not ANCAP, not minarchist, not even left libertarianism. It's impossible. Left libertarianism is, of course, a misnomer. Godfather. Styx, I'm a Buddhist. What do you think about Eastern Buddhist philosophy? Buddhism is cool. I like Hinduism more, though, in all honesty. I do not believe in trying to escape the reincarnation cycle. I don't believe it's possible long-term, and I don't believe it's necessarily something you want to do. I kind of like existing. Most things in life are pretty cool. I think that the pessimistic doctrines of yesteryear's spirituality were based on the fact that 90% of people lived and died as slaves or peasants. But now that people are more modern in some parts of the world, you see different spiritual doctrines beginning to arise that are less subjective. Greg Marit, are there similarities between the MSM coverage of WMDs in Iraq and the coverage of the COVID lab hypothesis? No, because the legacy media 100% went along with that in Iraq from day one. They spent a year denying that it was even possible for there to be a COVID lab leak this time around. It's clear whose side they're on. They're on Biden's side, and Biden was VP when the Obama admin was involved with the Wuhan lab. There you go. There's your reason for the whole thing. there's a credible reason to believe that that's why that's happening. Because the legacy media takes marching orders from the state now, basically. The deep state. Max Wilson, I'm very disappointed with YouTube. I don't see this site lasting 5 years. The CEO needs to be fired. I'd like to see her fired. She has denigrated this site. I think YouTube will be around in 5 years, but it'll be an on-demand service. Do I expect to still be on YouTube 5 years from now? Hell no. Why do you think I'd link people out to all the new tech sites I use? That's the future of independent content creation, not YouTube. They've made it clear that they don't like people like me. Look at my stats on Social Blade. Now compare it to literally any other independent content creator. We're on the same boat. Doesn't even matter if you're a leftist. She doesn't even care politically. She's making room for MSNBC and Fox and all the other big players to come in and give money. That's all it's about. It's about money grubbing. Kenneth West. 7 years ago, you made a video that China was a paper tiger and gave it 10 to 15 years to collapse. But China's influence over the US and world only increased since. How and when will we see this collapse? Well, 7 years ago is not 10 to 15 years, first and foremost. Secondly, you're seeing it collapse, I think, now. Its growth is slowing down. It's having diplomatic problems. Australia and other countries are turning their backs on it. You're beginning to see the unraveling now. It's already begun. Just give it a few more years. You got to be patient. I mean, it's still a massive entity. It's not like there's not wealth there, not like there is an industry there. It takes time. Western investors, I believe, will begin pulling out of China because it's too diplomatically volatile to be there, and the whole house of cards comes crumbling down. China will remain. I don't think they'll collapse in the sense of non-existence. I think they'll collapse in the sense of no longer being a credible second diplomatic dipole to the United States, which means I think the next one, presumably, unless the EU decides to go independent mode, which because of NATO is tenuous, will be India, honestly. I think India would be the next big one. It's got everything up in order to do that. General Mayhem, could you talk about the coming hyperinflation? What should we do about it? Well, we already have it. That's the problem. It's already here. We'll see if it's short term, which is what we hope, or if it's longer term. I can't give official fiscal advice, but I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm considering buying land. I have the money for that already saved up. Restrain your spending. That's always a good advice anyway. That's official fiscal advice, but that's just a no-brainer. Learn how to grow things. Learn how to synthesize food. Cook, in other words. You can make the rudiments of life are easy to make. You can make candles out of animal fat. You can get an oil press, grow sunflowers, and make your own oil to cook with. You don't have to starve to death. You don't have to be impoverished. When the Great Depression hit, Northern New Englanders were faced with far less problems than people in urban areas because they were already used to having less electricity, poorer water supply, less food, and so forth, having to work hard to grow their own. This is something I learned from my grandfather. He lived through the Depression. He was born in the 1920s. People managed, and people will manage this time. We've been through plenty of hard times, but I'm not saying that'll happen. I believe, as Ramsey Paul pointed out first, and I think that he's right, we're going through another redux of the 70s. Biden is Jimmy Carter. I know that that's cliche at this point. It's been overhyped, that particular term. He really does act like him. Pretty much everything that's happening right now is about the same as the 70s. Well, after the 70s, we had the 80s. We had neon lights and scrunchies and the B-52s and Depeche Mode and all these wonderful things and hair metal. Man, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it, actually. I can't wait to see what happens after Beijing Biden is gone, once he scoots aside into the back pages of history. Squid Coyote, why does anyone think drawings are real people? I don't. I don't think anyone actually thinks that. I know what you're referring to as far as Gab's crackdown on material that depicts cartoon caricatures of minors. That's a very, very strange debate because it's like, on the one hand, yeah, it's not a person, there's no technical victim. On the other hand, it's like, but what exactly are you defending, dude? I don't know. Ask Vaush to defend that. I'm sure he would. Marushia Dark. I don't fear mandatory CRT training since I'm more likely to talk them out of it than they are to flip me. I treat them as the same as Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses. Please don't throw me in that briar path. I remember the last time the Jehovah's Witnesses came to my house in Rutland, I came out and I had like a pentagram on and told them the house was run by Satan. Patrick Foley. Ew, Tarl, who's your favorite stand-up comedian? That would be Carlin, of course. I don't think that's really a surprise. There are quite a few that are good. Sasso's material is good. Artie Lang actually is really great as well, but he's basically gone AWOL for the last year. I think he's back on the sauce. I don't know. I don't think there's much hope for that poor fucker. I like Dennis Leary, actually. I realized that he ripped off part of his act from Hicks. But you got to understand, he had more than one stand-up act. There's no reason to believe that his other acts were ripped off from anyone. And his intonation, the delivery of comedy is at least as important as the writing. He's got the delivery A+, spot on. I just find him funny. I don't really care about Bill Hicks. I think he's dead anyway. Stephen 13, I got my Prussian flag. I'm ready to defend Western civilization while listening to Kamagratzer Marsh. We will have tanks and planes too. You can buy a tank, actually. It's legal. At least in the United States. You can buy a decommissioned tank. Spend a lot of money on it. I think you can import Eastern tanks too. EpicMan004, I'm trapped in Vouch's basement. He says rub the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Help. Yeah, I think that he's actually like homophobic, I think, and stuff like that. I think. Yeah, no. They're bizarre. They're basically the new left is trying to retain relevance. Like their commentary collapsed, and so they're trying something new. I don't know how well it'll work. The Arcading 300. Is the U.S. still viable to move to? Canada isn't doing so hot at the moment. Not many rights anymore. Yeah, the U.S. depends on the state. Most of the abuse has to come from the states because of the 10th Amendment. So if you choose a good state, you're fine. New Hampshire is a good state. West Virginia, Texas, Florida, if you don't mind Floridians being around. I happen to. I'm not going back to Florida. I don't know. It's not my bag. Constant humidity is a problem. My hair, look at this. My hair's got enough problems with the humidity anyway. Fuck it. Lil Cynical. Hey, Styx, I know you're not into sports, but the Kwame Brown situation. He seems to be leading an anti-woke movement among the black community. Well, then good for him. But we got to see that as separate from sports. I, by the way, do this in reverse for people who have political and social views that I hate. Like, for instance, if you look at like Billie Eilish, I'm going to admit I like some of Billie Eilish music. But the politics, it's like, okay, you can't judge a person too much when they're like barely, I think, 20 or something. But is dumb, really, the political views. This is the case with the majority of people in music. They at least pretend to be left-leaning. I'm not going to agree with that, but it doesn't mean I dislike the music. Most of the metal of the 80s is leftists, because who was trying to censor them at the time? Right-wingers. I don't give a shit. BW. Styx, do you think that Joe Manchin will cave now, given what he said after the vote? No, I don't think that he'll cave. He's made it quite clear what his beliefs are on the filibuster. Joe Biden's dentures. How long can Susan WikiWiki keep you at exactly 483,000 subscribers? They're afraid of you, man. That's a badge of honor. Yeah, actually, it depending on the day, it falls or rises slightly. And one thing I've noticed is that if I interact with a lot of third-party content, like I've begun to subscribe to and shitpost on lamestream media video uploads in hopes that people will discover my channel, because they're not seeing it in related videos, not seeing it in search or anything. So, yeah. We'll see what happens. To be clear, I'm not counting on ever hitting 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. But I bet I will on BitChute someday. I bet I will on Odyssey. Max Wilson. I think Trump is purposely laying low to kill off CNN, and then when the time is ripe, he'll pop up and the media will be desperate to eat it up. Possible? That would sound like a Trump strategy, certainly. Kenneth West. What is your take on the popular now fourth turning theory, meaning U.S. is going into a major crisis in a few years, possibly a war? Oh, I think that over the next few years, war is nigh on inevitable. That's the problem. Beijing Biden is a warmonger. Kamala would be worse because she'd have to prove herself as the first female president, as the first appointed official to be in that capacity. She'd start a war probably in the first few months. J-Dog. Styx, make mullets great again. Get one. Yeah, I don't think that'd be for my particular face shape. I like to elongate my face by having the beard, and then I like to have long hair. I wish it was straighter. It used to be. Soon as I get to the Netherlands, what happens? All of a sudden, genetically, I change. Like I got exposed to radiation. All of a sudden, my hair is wavy. I don't even know exactly how it happened. No amount of brushing helps either. By the way, I only brush my hair briefly once a day. People have asked about my hair care routine. It's basically fuck it. Sometimes I use shampoo. Silver Kestrel, enjoying your time in Swamp, Germany, by the way. So, yes, good food, more mild climate than Vermont. Like it's less hot in the summer, less cold in the winter. Sort of works. Squid Coyote, but it might cause people to break the law. Again, why do people think drawings are real people? See, I don't claim that. I just think that it's weird to defend such a thing. If you know what, some of you know the subject I'm talking about. Gab had a big dust up about that, and it's like, well, if you don't like it, build your own Gab. It's funny because I think it'd be allowed on Parler, but then Parler, some political speech isn't, and we've got this weird interplay with regards to the alt tech sites. New tech, of course, sorry. ACOR, when will people figure out that socialism and fascism are opposite horns on the same bull? They're not even really opposite when you think about it. It's all about centrality. The more centrality that's not individualistic, the closer it is to those systems. And hyper-individualism, with democracy at least, that's also a form of authoritarianism. I just say authoritarianism versus non-authoritarian. It's the easiest way to look at it. The Human Centipede, thanks for the info, Styx. By the way, what did you think of Rand clashing with Fauci again? I am Team Rand, obviously. Fauci's nuts. Like, he had that paper he wrote in 2012, like a decade ago. He's talking about gain of function and pathogens and how it's justified. Oh, we might cause a pandemic, but this research is important. I'm thinking, you gotta be crazy. This is the future supervillain that will be depicted in a movie about this current time period as being a mad scientist, like the next Frankenstein or something. Steve Watt. Hi, Styx. I have $5. Now you have it. Well, thank you. It's not actually going to be $5 on my end. YouTube will take some of it. By the way, some people say, well, you shouldn't stream on YouTube. You're funding the enemy. Number one, YouTube's not technically an enemy. But number two, this does take a lot of bandwidth. I don't really care if they're taking a few dollars from me. It's really, I've used the site for a long time. Whatever. You know, once I've looked into Odyssey's live streaming and into Rumble's. BitChute doesn't have it yet. Rumbles requires a monthly subscription, so that's off the table. I'm not willing to do that. Not for a site that I have 26,000 subs on. Odyssey has theirs, but it has a lot of like stuff I don't understand. I'll have to look into it more. And I hope that BitChute's is more straightforward, like basically just like this. Click a button, put in your info, and you're live. That's all you need. Make it boomer tech. That's what YouTube used to have. That was what I liked about you, like Google Hangouts and stuff back when that was a thing before I had to use StreamYard. The boomer tech was what made me like it, made it easier. Some of us are Luddites. I'm not a Zoomer or anything. Gerald Coe, will the globalists plan to permanently eliminate human freedom with COVID as their gateway succeed when all's said and done? No, I believe that inevitably they will fail. Timic83TC, hey Styx, we have to wear masks outside in Melbourne again. Hard to say stay white-pilled while everywhere that isn't Australia slowly becomes non-idiotic. Well, that too shall pass in time. Just, I guess, don't go outside is what the government's basically telling you to do. I think it's hilarious. Yeah, like here, they never had an outside mask mandate. Post-mayhem, is flying the Confederate flag racist? My housing authority fined me $750 for hate speech 3 weeks ago. Peace. No, it's not, and you should sue. You should sue them. Housing authorities are a stick in the mud, a thorn in the side of every liberty-loving individual. At a bare minimum, you should consider trying to take over the housing authority and rescind such rules. Yeah, that sort of thing happens all the time, and it's horseshit. Or you should just move out of the area. Why are you living under a housing authority, you suburbanite? Sebastian, oh, wait, it jumped. Sebastian Lee, what do you know about Yuri Bezmenov? Was he right? I have heard the name. I think he was talking about the long-term attempt to infiltrate the West by communism, if I remember correctly. If so, if that's the name I'm thinking of, yeah, the communists are still trying, but they're not fully communist anymore, economically speaking. You look at China, post-Soviets, they're just authoritarian. They just don't believe in liberty. Tony Soprano. G'day, Styx. Have you noticed that sometimes your comment section gets ratioed and taken over by Wignats? Yeah, sometimes. That's okay, though. It's free speech. By the way, if you think that things on YouTube, BitChute, wherever are dicey now, holy shit, you should have been around in 2008. I'm used to way worse. Devin Frazier, message retracted, but he gave me several dollars. Well, thank you. Not sure what you said. Dreskin, morning Styx. Given the media had to admit, yes, it came from China, what would it take and the chances of the same happening to the legality of certain totally legit and nothing illegal happened election honk honk? Yeah. Well, it's kind of apples to oranges because one was fortified and the other, I genuinely believe that it was an accident what happened in Wuhan. I don't think malevolence. I just think that shitty lab protocol by a bunch of commies. The problem is among graduates in China, you have a lot of cheating because there's so much of a reason to cheat. Because if you can successfully cheat on an exam and make a nice living as opposed to working in a coal mine, wouldn't you cheat? I know I would try. I'd risk going to the gulag for a couple of years if I thought I could uplift my lower class family. Of course I would. So would most of you. So you get shitty people that don't know what they're doing in a level 4 biolab where they're expected to follow extremely advanced protocol to make sure diseases don't get leaked. I think it's a no-brainer. It was an accidental release, but it was the result of Chinese communism. Absolutely. Ross giving $7.99 Australian. No comment. Thank you. Oh, it jumped again. John Bolden III. Gab has gone too far. Lolicons will rise up. Yeah, I guess that's a big thing. I mean, some people troll Gab about that, I guess. I don't know. If I can read this. J. Ferranda 31383. Morning from Baltimore, Styx. Are you familiar with Felix Rex? Black Pigeon Speaks. What are your thoughts on his insights? I like the dude. By the way, he's almost at 100K on BitChute, so you should definitely look him up there. Look up Black Pigeon Speaks. I think he'd be only the 6th person to hit that threshold. I was first, by the way. Just saying. I like his insights. I like his commentary. Max Wilson, I used to work at TV News. It's a dying industry. I don't know why people trust them. I am hopeful that people are waking up this year. Yeah, every year they are. That's the best part. Mark Markson, just wanted to donate but didn't have an interesting question. Do you like Avenged Sevenfold? I've heard some of their work. It's all right. I like things that are a little bit harder, like Marduk or Leviathan or something. Intestinal Disgorge, Ballot. Huns with guns, ban Lolicon, kill all pedos. Here we see the counterpoint to the initial argument. Buttfucker 3000. Bill Hicks is the greatest comedian to ever walk the earth. He influenced Carlin's nihilistic, angry libertarian style. Yeah, and also Dennis Leary's. I just like Leary for the delivery, and Bill Hicks is good too. Richard Pryor was good. Bill Cosby was good. Unpopular opinion as far as stand-up goes. If you didn't mind the occasional dad joke, Bill Cosby was pretty talented. It's in the delivery and the intonation, the facial mugging that he would do, make weird faces. It certainly helped. You don't have to like a person to admire their talents for what they are, in the professional sense at least. Devin Frazier, Styx, you hear about them shutting down the Quality Inn, one of the homeless druggy hotels in Rutland, lol. Yes, I actually saw that the other day. If you had ever been inside it, you wouldn't be wondering why it was shut down. Rodzilla5332. Hey, Styx, you can use entropy and people can log in through YouTube and Superchat and they don't take nearly as much. JF Garipy uses it. And by the way, I don't actually know how his last name is pronounced, but JF, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know that. I know entropy allows that. But yeah, I like to keep things simple. And StreamYard really is about the most simple streaming service you can get. Dirty Bong. Hey, Styx, love the content. I'd like to shout out 2 other live stream channels I recommend for a different topic than politics. Alien Scientist and GUFON. There's a shout out there. All right, and I think I'm actually going to stop the stream. Don't send any more super chats. If you got it queued up, just hit X or whatever. Brandy Burleson, gay. Thank you. Gerald Coe, thoughts on Nick Fuentes and Groypers. I like Nick Fuentes. Keegan Mooney, $5 without a comment. Thank you. The Rambling Recollector. Hey, They keep coming through, but please don't send any more super chats. It's been about an hour. I gotta make tacos later. It's important. Hey, Styx, love your work. What do you think about the robots will take our jobs thing? Actual problem or scaremongering? Well, the cotton gin existed and didn't take anyone's jobs. The steam shovel, all of these other things. It's a boogeyman. Cold Warrior, hello from the People's Republic of Massachusetts. Back in the 80s, I was considered a younger boomer. Now I'm just happy to have my Rammstein and Nightwish tickets for the fall. Sounds good to me. And then Dweez Droid Breeze Boys. Styx, thanks. You're very welcome. All right, so that concludes our live stream. We've been going an hour here, so I'm going to cut it off here because I have to. I'll lose my voice otherwise. Then tomorrow you won't get any fucking videos. One last one. Ross, good day, mate. Twitter permanently suspended my account for posting Horn Guy calling for peace. They're legit throttling us. Yeah, Twitter's nuts. I just use it to shitpost at this point. I like to do a modified Yo Little Donnie thing on everything Kamala Harris posts. It's pretty good fun. So yeah, that has been our weekly live stream. I'm going to start trying to do the Saturday show as well for the news wrap-up around the same time-ish. But it depends on my energy level, because some days I just want to do a lot of editing as well. And also it's nice and warm, so sit on the deck or whatever. So that's about all. Peace out.